You think it's fine that someone who tried to overturn a legitimate election is still on a board
Democrat
that
electors have
helps
done that
certifies.
Repeatedly. Democrats have done the same thing.
In
Republicans
Wisconsin,
never
there's
tried to
been
criminalize it.
fake slates of electors?
No, it's happened in different states. I didn't come prepared to give you the exact states, but it's happened repeatedly. It has happened repeatedly. Just go check the books.
Which books?
This wasn't what this interview is going to be about. I'll come and I'll provide you the information, but I'm absolutely certain about that.
I look forward to your office sending that information. We'll publish it if it's accurate.
I mean, it's one thing fact-checking the dude on air, but then following up said fact-check with more facts.
Johnson may not have read the books that he told us to check very closely.
Bring in the Simpsons meme.
Already dead.
Earlier in the week, a clip of CNN anchor Kaitlan Collins facing off with Republican Ron Johnson went viral, in which the Republican was left dumbfounded that a host dare push back against his baseless claims. I mean, how dare she? I mean, he's so used to being able to spew vitriol freely to the Maria Bartiromos of the world.
Well, again, on the bank records, you're not going to see bribe to change this policy. You have to infer what's happening here. You have to take a look at the bulk of the evidence.
Poor fella was clearly taken aback and offered some priceless pauses
to settle a nuisance lawsuit that never should have been brought.
So you think it's fine that someone...
lawsuit is a travesty of justice.
You think it's fine that someone who tried to overturn a legitimate election is still on a board
Democrat
that
electors
helps
have done that
certifies.
Repeatedly. Democrats have done the same thing.
In
Republicans
Wisconsin,
never tried
there's
to
been
criminalize it.
fake slates of electors?
No, it's happened in different states. I didn't come prepared to give you the exact states, but it's happened repeatedly. It has happened repeatedly. Just go check the books.
Which books?
I mean, there have been alternate slates of electors by Democrat electors in our history. Again, this wasn't what this interview is going to be about. I'll come and I'll provide you the information, but I'm absolutely certain about that.
I look forward to your office sending that information. We'll publish it if it's accurate. Senator Ron Johnson.
But the thing is, Kaitlan Collins wasn't done. I mean, she went a step further, which please more journalists should do, and followed up by debunking more fictitious claims that Republicans regurgitate to excuse their fearless cult leader's attack on democracy. As Johnson took to Twitter with his so-called receipts, thinking he could then run back to Mar-a-Lago for a gold star, Kaitlan Collins fact-checked him again.
Johnson may not have read the books that he told us to check very closely. He was here on the show Monday night, and when he was asked a pretty simple question, should someone who tried to overturn the last election be involved in overseeing the next one, the Wisconsin Republican said this.
I'm going to provide you the information.
So he followed up on Twitter, listed the 4 examples that you see here, none of which proved his point. Democrats have not repeatedly used alternate slates of electors. None even come close to what Republicans did in 2020. Really, just one of the examples he cites even is relevant to this. There's some big differences, so I'll tell you what they are. The senator is pointing to the 1960 election, something that we have seen Republicans bring up repeatedly since Trump lost in 2020. That year, Democrats in Hawaii sent an alternative slate of electors to Congress. Vice President Richard Nixon at the time and John F. Kennedy, they were nearly tied in the state. But here, the facts about what happened next are critical. At the time, a recount was still underway, one that ultimately flipped the results from Nixon to Kennedy. A judge would rule that the Kennedy electors were legitimate. And I should note that when Kennedy was ultimately the winner in the final count in Hawaii, it was Nixon himself, as vice president, who presided over the session approving that slate of electors instead of his own on January 6, 1961. In 2020, meanwhile, the recount in Wisconsin was over. It showed that Biden did indeed win Senator Ron Johnson's home state. Wisconsin's alternate GOP electors met more than 2 weeks after that recount and still signed a false certificate of electors. Trump and his supporters, of course, would go on to lose 7 more lawsuits in Wisconsin related to the electors. The other examples on Senator Johnson's list are instances where Democrats voiced objection to the election results. Not exactly instances of plots to overturn an election that was affirmed by recounts and by the courts. But even if you disagree with what those Democrats did, most importantly here, those instances went nowhere because the candidates who lost those elections conceded them. Of course, Senator Ron Johnson's role in this has also come under scrutiny, given the text messages showing that his chief of staff was trying to deliver a quote, alternate slates of electors for Michigan and Wisconsin directly to Vice President Pence on January 6th, something that will surely be included in the history books.
And this is what we need more of. It's not breaking news, right, that Donald Trump tried to overturn the election. But I would say that if you go across the country, I guarantee there are not as many Americans akin to just how rare his actions were in American history compared to past presidents and candidates. Republicans like Johnson play into this, and they try to cite past cases of Democrats potentially questioning results. But there's a difference. Even those who did question legitimacy at some point, they conceded. But despite countless recounts, court orders, decisions made by judges that Trump himself appointed, he still refused.
First of all, I won in 2020 by a lot, okay? Let's get that straight. I won in 2020.
You know that this,
and if you look at all of the tapes, if you look at everything that you want to look at.
There were lawsuits, more than 50 of them by your lawyers, some in front of judges that you appointed.
Look at Wisconsin.
That came out with no evidence.
Wisconsin has practically admitted it was rigged. Other states are doing the same right now, and it's continuing.
There have been reviews of every potential case of voter fraud in 6 battleground states, and they found fewer than 475 cases.
You know why? Because they didn't look at the right things.
Okay. He's the only president in modern history to do so. Furthermore, not only denied the legitimacy of a free and fair election, but put into action means to destabilize, in turn attempting to overturn it.
One of the great features of America is that we have political contests, that they are very hard fought, as this one is hard fought. And once the decision is made, we unite behind the man who is elected.
I have no bitterness, no rancor at all. I say to the president as a fellow politician that he did a wonderful job.
Mr. Nixon has won. The democratic process has worked its will. So now let's get on with the urgent task of uniting our country.
There are no losers, because whether or not our candidates are successful, the next morning we all wake up as Americans.
Whatever our differences, we are fellow Americans. And please believe me when I say, no association has ever meant more to me than that.
I so wish that I had been able to fulfill your hopes to lead the country in a different direction, but the nation chose another leader, and so Ann and I join with you to earnestly pray for him and for this great nation.
We must accept this result and then look to the future. Our constitutional democracy enshrines the peaceful transfer of power.
If you count the legal votes, I easily win. If you count the illegal votes, they can try to steal the election.
But yet Republicans continue to spew this freely, hoping that they won't be held to account. Well, bravo to Kaitlan Collins. This is how it's done, and we need more of it.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.